Oh, baby. Yep. Yep. Your eyes do not deceive you. You are once again watching a Viper live stream, which seems to be a regular everyday occurrence. But if you are familiar with me and what I do, this is not new to you. You understand how this works. But if you are new here, you're probably like, damn, this dude is live every single day. And yeah, usually I am. Although, funny story, I only have one podcast scheduled for next week. I don't know if that's going to change, but right now I only got one. So, but yeah, I think I've been live practically every day for the past, 3 weeks now, I think? Like 3 weeks. I've been live every single day for the past 3 weeks. So your boy been busy. Let's see who we got out here. We got the M Gaming, what's going on? We got Simon, what's happening? What's up, Alex Jackson? Got Will Barlow. We got my man Genosis, Evie. Got my man El Jefe, my head of security. What's up, El Jefe? What's up, Joseph? How you doing? Oh, is it a 504 out there too? I thought Joseph, where'd Joseph go? Okay. Tish, hey Tish, how you doing? Tech 702, who will be on the podcast next week, no doubt, no doubt. All right. See, we got a lot of people. We got a lot of people already up in here, and Podcastage is out there himself saying hello to the chat. No doubt, no doubt. That's what's up. But let's not waste no more time. Let's get into the podcast because this one should be a good one. Oh yeah. Let me take a drink real quick, and then we will begin with the festivities. So, this is VypDrive, episode number 91. And this one should be a particularly good one. I got the Sultan of Audio on deck. I got my man Bandru, Mr. Podcastage is here. And he's coming up next on VypDrive, which starts now. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, and welcome back to another episode of VypDrive. It is the podcast about tech, hosted by the man about tech. And as I alluded to in my introduction, this one should be a particularly good episode of the podcast. I have the Sultan of Audio. I have the audio police himself. I got my man Bandru, or as you better know him as, Podcastage is here. What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing super well, Viper. How are you doing?
I am doing. Do y'all hear that buttery smooth audio? I am working with the Shure SM7B, and you make me look like an amateur right now. It's terrible right now.
You sound amazing on the 7B. You sound awesome.
But all right, before we get started, what mic are you using tonight? Because it sounds like buttery smooth.
Okay, so this is the Mojave MA201 FET, and this one has a particular amount of weight in the low end. I don't have what people would call a smooth or buttery voice normally, but this one just adds a bunch of balls in the low end. It really helps me out. So I'm enjoying it.
Did you just say it adds a bunch of balls on the low end? Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
I'm not even about to elaborate. If you don't get the reference, if you don't get the joke, then I don't know what to tell you. But thank you for joining me tonight, man. I appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. I love what you're doing. I don't think there's anybody more energetic or fun to watch in the tech arena than you. So it's an honor to be asked by you to be on.
You flatter me, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, baby. I appreciate you. First question that I ask every new guest on the podcast.
I think it froze. I lost you, Viper.
Hopefully you guys can see and hear us. I see him, so I think we're good now.
Okay, yeah, I see you now.
All right, so let me go try this again.
Okay.
So, first question I ask every new guest that comes to the podcast, Bandru. What brought you to YouTube?
Well, I started making videos in 2003. And at that time, I was paying for hosting and bandwidth for that video. Every single time somebody played the video, you had to pay for it. So for 2 years, I was accruing those costs. And then in 2005, I heard of this thing called YouTube where you could upload. It was free. You didn't have to pay for hosting. You didn't have to pay for bandwidth. And it blew my mind. So in 2005, I made the jump and started uploading videos. So I was uploading a bunch of music videos. I had one back in 2006, I think it was, that ended up going viral. Back in those days, I think it peaked at 800,000 views. So it was a cover of a band's song. And when I would go to this band's shows, everybody would recognize me. It was really weird. But but around 2009, I stopped making videos, went back to college, got my master's degree, and then in 2015, started making audio reviews, audio gear reviews. Because why I started again, I guess I should address that, is I was starting a podcast and I was looking for a specific microphone and reviews and trying to find all the information that I could, and I couldn't find the information that I wanted. So I figured I know a little bit about audio. I've recorded demos for my band for years, so I have a working knowledge. So I decided I would try to fill the hole of information because I'm sure that I wasn't the only one who was looking for it. And I guess I got a little bit lucky because there are people as weird as me who like microphones as much.
You know, it's funny that you say that you were looking for an audio tutorial, so that's why you started making audio content in the first place. Because I don't know. I think, I was talking with iPhone last week, and he was talking about how there's not too many audio teachers out there. There's not many people out there willing to teach audio. But we know you, Bandru, you are more than willing to teach proper audio, how to use mic properly, things like that. So I guess in a sense, what is it particularly that you didn't see in the tech space as it relates to audio that you felt like you could bring to the table?
So at the time, it seemed like a lot of the people who were making audio content were the retailers. And I don't think that retailers are going to be willing to say this sucks. And the number of people who were individuals making reviews, I don't know why somebody would do this. They're reviewing a microphone and they don't use the microphone. They have the microphone, they show the unboxing and they talk about it, but they never talked into the microphone. They never spoke into it. And that was the first light bulb moment. Hey, I will make a review of a microphone using the microphone, because what I was looking for is hearing how the microphone performed, not hearing somebody wax poetic about it or hearing a 5-minute diatribe about how somebody's day was before they start even discussing it. So it started with, I am going to buy the microphone, speak into it the entire time, and get to the point. So my early videos were 3 or 5 minutes, really, really short. Now they've expanded and they've gotten quite a bit longer because people kept leaving comments, "You're an idiot, why didn't you do this test?" So I just add more and more tests to appease the people, and I hope it's helpful. I think it's become a rather structured format now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can definitely say that I probably looked at some of your videos while I was doing microphone research for this particular mic and other mics in general. So the content that you are putting out there definitely helpful to people that, like me, who really don't know much about audio. Like, I'm an audio noob. I don't know much about audio besides the basics and things like that. So I want to get into your very favorite microphone, because I know, Bandru, that people might not know, but I know what your favorite microphone is. So I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, my man Marquez Brownlee, you guys know him as MKBHD, he made a video, and I think the title of the video was the YouTube starter kit. Yeah. And the microphone that he recommended, which is Bandru's favorite microphone. That's why he's laughing right now. He can't control. No, we're losing them on the podcast. This is the watershed moment. Pay attention, y'all. But Marquez recommended Bandru's favorite microphone in that video, which happens to be the vaunted, legendary Blue Yeti. Now, I know, Bandru, that you have 1,000 problems with the Blue Yeti. So why don't you talk to us about your issue with that particular microphone?
Okay. So I'm going to come out with a hot take.
Let's go.
I don't think the Yeti is a bad microphone. I absolutely don't. If you're buying it for the right reasons, it can absolutely be amazing, and it's a great value. For $100, you get 4 polar patterns. Amazing. But most YouTubers, most podcasters only need 1 polar pattern. So why are they going to spend excess money buying features that they don't need? So there are other options that just offer a single cardioid polar pattern that just picks up audio in front of the microphone, and they could save a bit of money. Also, it is designed in a way that it is easily misused. I am sure you have seen me and many other people retweeting pictures of all of these broadcasters who are now broadcasting from home,
Yep.
speaking into the top of the Blue Yeti, or putting it on the desk mount and setting it 3 or 4 feet away, or putting it on the wrong polar pattern. So based on the design, I understand why it's designed that way, because you buy it in the box and you can just put it on your desk and start recording. It would be disappointing for a beginner to buy it and realize when they got home, I don't have what I need. I need to go back to Guitar Center or go to Musician's Friend online and buy one.
Right.
So I understand why it's that way, but it's so easily misused. And no matter what Blue does, they put a diagram on the box with a big X saying, do not talk into the top of it. And people still do it. People still freaking do it. I don't understand it. So
here we go.
So that's really what bothers me. It's for music. If you're at home and you're just starting out and you have $100, you want to record some demos, amazing. If you want to do ASMR, even though I find that content repulsive, amazing. $100, you get a stereo microphone. It's killer. But if you're podcasting, you don't need to buy that microphone. If you're a YouTuber, you don't need to buy that microphone.
Oh, man. Ooh, you know I had to talk about it. You knew I had to address this topic because I know how passionate you are about this. You knew I had to go there.
I was preparing this microphone to pull in because I thought you were going to mention this, but as soon as you mentioned it, MKBHD, I said, oh, he's going there. He's going there.
I'm going there.
I knew exactly what you were going to talk about.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So let's talk about like one of the biggest gripes that you see with people who use the Blue Yeti. I was kind of guilty of this myself when I first got into it. I think I saw a Juan Bagnell video talking about how people are using the Blue Yeti wrong. Like you said, Bandru, they talk like into the top of the mic when the Yeti is actually designed in such a way that you should be talking into the side of the mic. Why is that mic designed to be talked into from the side instead of like at the top, like most mics that you would think, or maybe, I don't know. He coming right back, y'all. Here we go.
Okay, so
we got a prop. We got a prop. For those of y'all listening to audio, we have to have a Blue Yeti as a prop here. Let's go.
Okay, so the reason that it's designed to be spoken into from the front is because the diaphragm is actually pointing the front, forwards, and backwards. And that's because it does have multi-patterns. It has a cardioid, which would just pick up audio from the front, but it also has a bidirectional, picks up audio from the rear, and it has an omnidirectional, which picks up audio all the way around. So if it was designed to be spoken into from the top, now the sound would be going in here, and then if you want to do a bidirectional, somebody would be speaking into the butt of it. Mm-hmm. So it has to really be designed to be spoken into from the side so you can have access to all of the different capsules inside of it.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's go into audio 101 because I'm kind of an audio noob. I mean, I know how to use the mic. I know how to do the basic things of using and functioning the microphone, but let's talk as if like my listeners are familiar with audio and how to use it and the terminology and things like that. You just explained that the diaphragm is located in such a way that you have to talk into the microphone from the side. So my first noob dumb question, what is a diaphragm as it relates to audio, obviously?
Okay, so a diaphragm is just a thin piece of, I think currently they use nylon, a very thin, maybe a millimeter or two, probably less than a millimeter actually, typically with a little bit of gold or some kind of conductive metal on the front of it, and that vibrates back and forth with the sound from your voice, the vibrations in the air from your voice, and then that is converted into electricity based on, there's different ways it does that based on the type of microphone, but it's just a thin piece of metal covered something, and it vibrates with the movement of the air from your voice.
All right, so the diaphragm is just a thin piece of like nylon or something that takes the sound of your voice and it uses that to create the electricity for the microphone, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's take this even further into audio 101. So you just said that for those new creators starting off on YouTube or any platform for that matter, or if they're starting out doing a podcast, they do not need the Blue Yeti. So for a first-time creator just starting off, what should they be looking for in terms of a microphone?
Okay, so the first thing that I would recommend is a cardioid microphone. Of course, that's assuming that you don't need the omnidirectional, the bidirectional, or the stereo from the Yeti. If you're just going to be doing a podcast, if it's just you sitting in a room talking, you need a cardioid microphone. Because
and what is the cardioid again?
Okay, so a cardioid microphone means that it just picks up audio in the front of it and it rejects sound from the rear of it. So that polar pattern, cardioid, figure eight, those are all called polar patterns. And the cardioid, it looks like a little heart or a little butt. That is the one that rejects the most amount of noise from your room of the standard polar patterns.
Okay.
So you would want a cardioid microphone. There is a bit of a debate on whether or not condenser microphones and dynamic microphones pick up less background noise. In my tests, dynamics do pick up less background noise. So for a starter, if you do not have a bunch of room treatment up, sound treatment to dampen the sound down, dampen the reverberations, then you would want to go with a dynamic. And it's a meme at this point among everybody in my Discord server, but whenever somebody comes in and says, I'm new, I need a microphone, what do I get? 9 times out of 10, we say the Samson Q2U. And the reason for that, there's a very, very specific reason. First off, it's extremely affordable. It's about $50. It's a cardioid microphone. It's dynamic. And I actually think that El Jefe in the chat, what is he, your enforcer?
Yeah, he's head of security. My head of security, right?
Yeah, I believe he uses the Q2U, and there's quite a few Q2U gangs in here. So it's cardioid, picking up audio in the front. It's dynamic. I don't know if you want to get into the difference between condenser and dynamic.
I'll go in there next. That might be
okay.
I'll go in there next. Yep.
And it is USB and XLR. So for $50, you get a microphone. You can pull it out of the box, plug it directly into your computer, and start recording. And then down the road, if you're not happy with the sound that you're getting, you can buy a USB audio interface. You can buy an outboard preamp or channel strip like the DBX286S, and you don't need to spend money and replace your microphone because that microphone can function as USB and XLR. So that is the really big selling point. It's $50 and it does so much. It allows you an upgrade path where you don't have to drop more money on something that you don't need.
Gotcha. Okay. See, this is why I'm glad I got you on because I know, like I said, you are the sultan. You are the master of audio. And for our audio noob like me and anybody else that watches or listens to this podcast and they're starting out, this is a very good podcast for them to listen to. So the other terminology that I hear about as it relates to mics all the time, you got condenser mic and you got dynamic mic. What is the difference?
So a dynamic microphone has a permanently charged magnet in there, and the diaphragm will vibrate within that magnetic field, and that will be converted into electricity, and that's output to your preamp. Those microphones are typically very, very quiet because there's no amplification being done in the microphone. Condensers, on the other hand, it's been maybe 2 years since I've looked into this. I believe condensers actually they actually charge the capsule. So the capsule becomes polarized when you provide phantom power to them. Dynamic microphones do not require what is called phantom power. Condenser microphones do. And the condenser microphones, because of that, they have electronics inside that actually amplify the signal as well, but it also polarizes the capsule. Now, 48 volt phantom power is just something that you will find on 99% of preamps and audio interfaces, it's a little button or a little switch that says plus 48 volts.
Yep.
And that's because condenser microphones do require power to actually turn on and work, because you need to charge that capsule and you need to power the electronics that amplify the signal a little bit. But they're louder, and I have theories about why dynamics and condensers have different properties in terms of pickup. I don't know, that may be a bit too in the weeds, but that's a basic rundown of the differences between dynamic and condenser.
Okay, so something that you were talking about a little bit earlier in the podcast, you were explaining about how condenser might pick up more background noise than dynamic might. So why is it that condenser might pick up so much more noise in the background than dynamic might?
Okay, I have a few theories on this. First one being the frequency response of the microphone. A lot of dynamic microphones tend to roll off a lot of frequencies in the upper end. Condensers extend all the way through the human hearing range from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, while the dynamics may go from 50 hertz to 15 kilohertz. So just based on that, the dynamic microphone rolls off a lot of frequencies, meaning it picks those frequencies up significantly softer. So any noise in that frequency range that has been rolled off is going to be picked up less. That's my first theory there. Then this is a crazy one. I've not heard anybody talking about this. This is exclusive to VypDrive.
All right.
My theory is the actual polar patterns for the microphones are designed differently. The polar pattern is going to be the biggest contributor to that. And when I look at dynamic microphones, I think of what are they designed for? A lot of dynamics, they're handheld. I got one right here. Let me pull this out. This is probably the most famous microphone of all time. It's an SM58. It's a stage dynamic microphone. This is designed to be used in really loud environments with a bunch of stuff going on around you. A guitar player over there, drums over there. So they're going to design the polar pattern to be less sensitive in areas that are not directly in front of it, because they just want the microphone to pick up your voice. Same with the SM7B. This is designed for radio. There's multiple people talking while they're broadcasting over radio. A bunch of other broadcast dynamic microphones as well. So they are going to try to design the polar pattern to pick up just what's in front of it and reject a lot of other noise, because they don't want bleed between the microphones. When you look at condenser microphones, those are mainly the higher end ones were designed to be used in properly designed rooms. So in those rooms, when you're recording an album, most of the time you want to capture the characteristics of the room. You want to pick up that reverb. You want to pick up what's going on around it. So my theory is they actually designed the polar pattern to pick up a little bit more from the sides or the rear. And I think that may be contributing to it as well. Just by design, condensers are mainly used for professional recordings in well-designed rooms. Dynamics, they try to reject as much noise as possible because they're designed to be used in loud environments with a bunch of noise going on around.
Gotcha. All right, so I'm about to do a little demonstration for you guys listening on audio only and those of you all watching the podcast right now. I am speaking into a Shure SM7B right now, which is a dynamic microphone. So when Bandru says that this microphone is designed to reject noise around it, right now I am talking directly into the Shure SM7B. If I move slightly to my left here, you will hear my voice go down a decibel because I am moving away from the microphone. Now, as I slowly move closer to the microphone, it picks up my voice because I'm closer. That's why I like these dynamic microphones like the Shure, because like Bandru said, they only pick up what's directly in front of them and they reject pretty much anything else that's happening in the background. So if people are outside mowing the lawn or if you got the air conditioner on, you ain't got to worry about none of that background noise because these dynamic microphones are so excellent at rejecting it and just picking up whatever in front of them, mainly being your voice.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm on a condenser right now. I've spent a lot of money on room treatment, so it gives me a little bit of extra leeway because I'm an idiot and I can't stop buying audio stuff. But as I move around it, you can still hear that you can still hear my voice quite a lot from the side. But then when I get back on axis, it's just a different tone. But you still hear a lot of this over here off to the side.
Right. So I think somebody in the chat wants me to do a 360-degree test. So right now, I'm talking directly into the Shure SM7B. Now I'm going to rotate the microphone 360 degrees, or actually at least 180. So now the microphone is facing away from me. It's 180 degrees away from me. So now I'm picking up my voice left because it's not directly in front of me anymore. So now when I rotate it back, my voice should become more bassier, more clear, because now I'm back in front of the microphone. Now, this particular microphone, the Shure SM7B, I'm so close to the mic that it's giving off something called a proximity effect. Bandru, can you please explain what a proximity effect is and what it does and things like that?
Absolutely. I don't know the physics behind it. I will say that up front. But the proximity effect is something that occurs on microphones that are directional. So when I was talking about the Blue Yeti, I mentioned omnidirectional. That would not be a directional polar pattern because it picks up audio all the way around it. So with cardioid, with bidirectional, with supercardioid, hypercardioid, any of those are directional. And as you get closer to the microphone, the bass in your voice is going to get much more pronounced. It gives this really big bass boost. And there are certain microphones that do that really well and offer a warm and lush low end. Then there are some that just get overpowering and they become muddy and messy and they sound bad when you get too close. So it's basically, if you're using a cardioid microphone, you get close to it, it's going to give you a big bass boost.
So to demonstrate, I'm about 6 inches away from the Shure SM7B right now. So I'm probably lost a little bit of the bass in my voice. But as I move closer to the mic, that proximity effect is now in effect. Pun.
Yeah.
And now you got the bass back in my voice because I'm right up on the mic. So this is a good look. I like to have the mic this close, and I like that bass. I like that boom in my voice, especially when I'm doing these podcasts. So that's why I have this mic this close, because I get the maximum value that I want and the sound signature that I want out of the mic if I have it this close. And I think Jay Tucson did a video about an audio setup that he recently had. Yep, we go there too. So Jay Tucson did a video about how he purchased a Shure SM7B, and he purchased an audio interface and a whole bunch of audio gear for like $800 or whatever. But he wasn't getting the sound that he wanted, partially because he was using the SM7B incorrectly because he was too far away from the mic. And I know our buddy Bandru here, he brought out the audio police and did an entire counter video explaining why Jay Tucson was using this particular microphone, the Shure SM7B that I'm speaking into right now, why he was using it the incorrect way.
Yeah, it's... I don't want to be mean. I don't want to... I tried to be constructive in my video, and I tried to add a little bit of humor. There were some people who were pretty angry in the comments, but that happens in every video. But the main thing comes down to, I was a little bit disappointed that he clearly had not done proper research into the audio gear before making a video on the topic. I don't think it's wrong for him to make audio content. I just think with a platform of his size, he has a little bit of responsibility to ensure that he's not putting out disinformation or misinformation. And the main issue that he had was he was using the SM7B about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet, probably 1.5 feet away. And this is one of the quietest microphones that you can buy on the market. You can't do that. You just can't do that. So watching that was kind of painful because it was abundantly clear that he had not done the proper research. But he did make a correcting video, and I am happy about that. I'm glad he got the sound that he wants finally. Really glad that he did that.
And you know what? I mean, I watched your video response to his video, and I didn't think your video was negative in any way. You were just offering constructive criticism. And we both know this mic is $400. If you're going to spend this much money on a microphone, you want to know how to use it the correct way. There's no point using it the wrong way if you're going to spend that much money. Because when you buy this particular microphone, this Shure SM7B that I'm using right now, you can't just buy only the microphone. At least in my case, I had to buy the microphone. I had to buy an audio interface, and I had to buy the cloud lifter to go with the microphone and the audio interface. I think in total, this whole setup ran me almost $800-900. So this is not a cheap setup. You can't, like I said, you just can't buy the microphone by itself and be good to go. This microphone, I've almost got the SLR cable too. But this microphone is an entire setup that you need to buy. So if you're gonna go out and spend the money that you spend for this microphone, you better be using it correctly. And if you're not, then we gotta address it.
Yeah, and I think he bought everything that he needed. He didn't do 5 minutes of research to say, okay, this is a broadcast dynamic. It's not a shotgun microphone. It needs to be 3 inches away, and then we're good. Right. And that would have given him the results he wanted. But
you know, it's almost funny, Bandru. It's kind of like back in the 80s when your parents used to buy you a Nintendo for Christmas or birthday or whatever, and they buy the Nintendo, but they don't realize that they need the RF splitter too. So you unbox the Nintendo, but you can't play it because you don't have the part that connects the Nintendo to the TV.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the same thing with buying this mic in particular. If you buy the Shure, but you don't, if you don't buy like the cloud or you don't buy something that's going to amplify the gain, because as you said earlier, this is a quiet microphone. So depending on the audio interface that you have at your disposal, you might need to buy a amplifier with it or whatever you call it, cloud lifter. But yeah, you got to do your research especially when you're spending this amount of money on a microphone. Do all the research. Make sure you get everything that you need, and make sure you're using it correctly. And that's pretty much what it is.
100%. And just to anybody listening, I want to make it abundantly clear: you don't need to spend $900 to get good sound.
No, not at all.
You can spend $50 and nobody in your audience will complain. As long as you set your levels properly, you're not distorting, you're not clipping, they'll be happy. Until you start getting complaints, just rock and roll, record, have a good time. So don't think you have to spend $1,000 or $500 to get good sound. Start with a $50 microphone. Practice. You'll get great, and people will love it. So I just want to make that clear because we're talking about these expensive mics, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
No, absolutely. When I first started off on YouTube, I brought the Blue Yeti, and it worked well for me for about a year until it died, but it worked well.
Yeah. And it can work well. As much crap as I give the Yeti, people can use it correctly. I am just... I've said this already, but it's kind of like a meme. Me hating the Yeti so much, just saying, don't buy the Yeti, don't buy the Yeti.
Right.
And I made an entire Twitter video, and there was a clip of PewDiePie saying, don't buy the Blue Yeti, and I clipped that and just put it on Twitter. I don't think I'm in Blue's good graces anymore.
Oh, boy. Yo, shout out to my man El Jefe Review for the $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you rocking our meat. And thank you to the 34 of you that are watching the podcast live tonight on YouTube. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and my man Bandru tonight, no doubt. If you want to support the podcast, super chats are open, not required, but anything that you are willing to donate is greatly appreciated. Also, you have the option of becoming a channel member, so you can do that as well. Or if you don't want YouTube to take 30% of your super chat, you can buy me a coffee. The link is in the description. Again, none of this is required, but if you want to support the podcast monetarily, the options are there. Shout out to those of y'all listening on audio only. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast with me and Podcastage, Bandru this week. Thank you very much. If you guys want to support the podcast monetarily, there will be links in the show notes for you to do that. It's not required, but the links are there if you are so inclined to use them. Also, if you happen to be listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a rating or review as it helps more people discover VypDrive. And we're trying to get the podcast back in the top 200 of Apple Podcasts. So let's go ahead and get that done. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you. So, Bandru, in your opinion, is there a sound difference between a condenser microphone and a dynamic microphone as far as sound output? Excuse me.
Absolutely, there's a difference. So, dynamics do tend to roll off a lot of the higher frequencies. So, some people might think, or they may observe that they sound a little bit less detailed or a little bit less clear or a little bit less open, while condensers, they do extend from, in most cases, from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and they have more of a realistic, authentic sound, like you're in the room with it. but you also do pick up a little bit more of the room. So if that's something you're going for, it can really work in your favor to have a condenser mic. But dynamics can sound great too. You can throw on a little bit of EQ and get a little bit more air, which is the frequencies above 10 kilohertz. Throw on a little bit of a boost and get a little bit more open sound. And you can really manipulate the microphones you play with that you're using to get different sound characteristics and bring out different parts of your voice and get the exact sound that you want. So there is an inherent difference in the sound just based on limitations, but you can get amazing sound out of either type.
Gotcha. Thank you. Shout out to Alex Jackson for the $6.99 Canadian super chat. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. No doubt. So, I had a question right at the top of my head, and of course, it went away. Oh, okay. So, Bandru, some mics are USB-C, or no, you know how USB-C. Some mics are USB only, and then some mics need the XLR cable. Is there like a difference as far as like mic quality, like sound quality, in between using a USB only mic and a mic that needs an XLR cable?
So that's a little bit difficult to answer because in a USB microphone that has all of the components. It has the actual microphone, it has the analog to digital converter, which takes that electric signal, that electric signal, converts it from analog into digital to go into your computer. With XLR mics, you run the XLR cable into a USB audio interface that has the preamp and the A to D converter. So it's a separate unit for the XLR route. Uh-huh. As far as if one is better or not, there's really no yes or no there because I think there's only one USB microphone that's over $1,000 and it sounds incredible. It's an amazing sounding microphone that does microphone modeling, so you can emulate a $30,000 vintage 1947 microphone, and it sounds phenomenal. But it's $1,500, and it probably does sound quite a bit better than a $100 condenser microphone that's XLR. But generally speaking, if you're buying a $100 USB microphone and a $100 XLR microphone, I think the XLR microphone will give you a better sound because they're able to put all of the money into the actual microphone as opposed to having to pay for the components for the preamp and the headphone amplifier and the A to D converter. So just based on economics, they're going to be able to create a better quality product.
Well, I love how you get so in depth about this stuff. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Great question.
Hey, Matt McCord, thank you for the 513, sir. Appreciate the support, man. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about the mic that I am using right now. So as I explained earlier, I am using the Shure SM7B. Now, I did a lot of research before I brought this mic. I think I was going back and forth between this particular mic and I think it's the Rode Procaster. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I ended up buying this mic because I watched a lot of YouTube videos comparing the two mics, listening to how they sound, and I liked how the proximity effect sounded with the Shure SM7B. It sounded like it had a little bit more bass in the Rode. And fun fact, this microphone that I'm on right now, that I'm talking to you on right now, is the actual microphone that Michael Jackson recorded his Thriller album with. So this microphone is like a studio standard. It's like an industry standard in the studio industry, music industry, things like that. It's $400. It's not cheap, but it lasts a long time. So I'm told. I'm told that this will probably be the last mic I will ever need. So I mean, it's a $400 hit. But if I don't have to buy another microphone to get in my life, I'm okay with that. I'm cool. So Andrew, I mean, you're better than this than me. You're better than me at this microphone stuff. So explain to us a little bit about this Shure SM7B and why it's so good.
So the characteristic that I love about this thing is how soft it is. What I mean by that is if you put this in front of a very harsh sound source like my voice, the recording isn't harsh. It's soft and pleasing. And the fact that Quincy Jones probably had a microphone locker worth $500,000 and he went with the SM7, that tells you something. The guy he's not a dummy. He's a super smart dude who knows what he's doing. So Quincy Jones picking this SM7 for Michael Jackson just tells you there's something going on there. But it is a relatively flat microphone. What that means is there are no big boosts in any area in the frequency range, which would accentuate certain areas of your voice. So something that I notice on a lot of microphones is when it accentuates the nasal frequencies, which would
really accentuate it and make it sound like this.
it sounds really bad. And that's one of the first things that I hear with a microphone. And you may see that in a boost around 1 kilohertz or 800 to 1,000, somewhere in there. But this is a flat microphone, so you can throw on some EQ to this thing and really mold it to fit the mix or the sound that you're looking for. So it's a really versatile mic in that regard, and I think that's why it is so popular, because it's versatile and it's so pleasing to listen to. It's so soft. That may just be me, though, because I have a harsh voice and I don't like it. So anything that will help me, I'm on board with.
No, man, it's not just you. Like I said, I watched a lot of YouTube videos talking about this mic, reviewing this mic. I've listened to sound sample from this particular mic, and they all sounded good. Also, this is the mic that Joe Rogan uses for his podcast. So, like I said, this mic is literally everywhere. I think, like Bandru said earlier, you'll find it in a lot of radio stations and things like that. So this mic is an industry standard. It's literally everywhere. And I'm like, all right, I want that one. Because the Rode Procaster, that's like $130, $170 cheaper.
Yeah.
But I brought the more expensive microphone because it is an industry standard and it sounds so good. And I heard it last for a very long time. So I'm like, I want that one.
Yeah. It will be the last microphone that you ever buy, as long as you treat it right. You don't throw it across the room when you get mad. I haven't done that yet. This is a note to myself for the record. It'll last forever as long as I don't beat it.
Yeah, don't do that. Alex Jackson, thank you for the super chat, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, Bandru, I am getting requests in my live chat for you to play an instrument on the podcast tonight. I don't know if you're up for it, but if you are, they are requesting your musical talent. Oh, he pulled out the guitar. Oh, here we go. Ready to get some guitars here from Podcastage.
I don't know any songs off the top of my head. There's some guitar.
That was pretty good, man. That was pretty good.
I won't curse the podcast with my singing.
Thank you for the guitar interlude, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So, we got to talk about the audio police.
Absolutely.
Where did that even come from? I guess my questions are, where did the idea come from, and why do we have the audio police on YouTube now?
I don't know where it came from. So for Halloween last year, I was doing a bunch of Twitter videos where I would use a microphone that was seen in a horror movie and make people guess what movie it was from and what microphone it was. So I bought a bunch of Halloween costumes, one of them being a police costume. And then I figured, hey, I just bought a bunch of donuts. I have this cop costume. I'm kind of calling out Jay's 2 cents. Let's try to make it fun, like there's some kind of old documentary that an old police training video on using the SM7B properly. It's just me being a crazy person and having donuts to eat. So there's no rhyme or reason behind it. I just thought it was kind of funny, so I can call people out and have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, for those of y'all that are not familiar with the audio police, it's when my man Bandru here dresses up as a police officer and he critiqued people's incorrect using of a microphone, like our boy James 2 Cents. It's quite hilarious. It's outstanding.
He's been the only victim so far. He's been the only one that I've actually called out so far.
But it's all in fun, though. We're not bashing people or anything like that. It's all in fun.
Exactly, yeah.
So you've been on YouTube for a long time. You have you almost have 200,000 subscribers. A lot of up and coming creators watch my live streams and podcasts. So I'm curious to get your thoughts. What is the one audio mistake that you see new creators make that just pains you to no end?
Can I give you two?
Yes.
Okay, so the first one would just be, oh God, there's so many. I want to give you like 10 of them.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Oh, okay.
Go.
So first would be talking into the wrong side of the microphone. The number of people that I have seen speak into the SM7B from the side or the Blue Yeti into the top just hurts me. Just read the manual, please. RTFM, read the freaking manual. Understand the gear that you have. The second is having the microphone too far away. That just means you're going to have a lot more of your room tone than you probably want. Because most rooms that we have, we're all home studio folks. We're all just recording in our spare bedrooms. We don't have tens of thousands of dollars to create a properly acoustically designed room, so it's not going to be pleasing. So just get the microphone closer to your mouth, decrease the gain, decrease the level so you're not clipping, and that'll give you a better signal to background noise ratio, meaning your voice will be louder and the reverberations in the room, the background noise will be quieter. And I just alluded to it. The third one I'm going to give you is don't clip. Clipping is when your audio is too loud and it exceeds 0 decibels and it gets that really distorted, nasty sound. And once that's recorded, you cannot fix it. So it's imperative, to use my big word for me today. It's imperative that you set your gain appropriately. So you're hitting around -18 to -6 decibels. That way, if you get really excited, you don't clip. Hopefully I didn't clip there because that would be embarrassing, but that's a general idea.
As a habitual residential clipper here, I'm pretty sure I have free problems with that. I probably clip every day, so it's all good.
We need to get you an analog limiter, just a hard -6 decibel hard limiter, so that nothing going into the interface gets louder. Then you wouldn't ever clip again. That might be a good idea.
Maybe. So that brings up something. What's that?
Hey, I was gonna say, chat. Let's go ahead and super chat him so we can get him a limiter.
So that brings up another point. On my YouTube videos, I don't do anything with audio. I record the audio, I edit my video in Final Cut Pro, and I put out the audio as is. Mm-hmm. So how does how does one edit audio? Like what is, I mean I know how to edit a video, but what do you even look for when you're editing audio though? I mean, I know obviously you talk about clipping, so I'm pretty sure clipping is a part of it, but like, how do you edit audio?
So the first thing that I would say about processing your audio is stop. Don't do anything yet. Don't just add stuff to your audio. Don't just add compressors, EQs, whatever, just because you think that's necessary. When you're adding a plugin or anything, it should be to solve a specific issue. So if there is too much dynamic range, if you get too quiet, then get too loud, and that makes it difficult for the person listening to your podcast or watching your video, if it makes it difficult for them, then you might want to add a compressor, because that makes the loudest parts quieter, and then with the makeup gain, it brings the quieter parts louder. So it makes the difference between the loudest and quietest parts a little bit smaller. So it makes it a little bit easier to listen to. With EQ or equalization, you'll just want to, I've been trying to think of a way to describe this, because it's such bad advice to just listen. Because if somebody's new to audio, saying just listen doesn't really help. Right. So I don't have a proper explanation on how to listen just yet. I've been thinking about it for like 3 months. Haven't come up with anything. But you'll hear a nasty frequency. Something, again, to bring this up because this is easy to do.
Hey, there's a nasally frequency.
You'll hear that, and then on your I don't know why, on your equalizer, you'll find where that nasty frequency is, and you'll cut that out. Or if it does sound a little bit dark, it sounds a little bit muffled, you can add a little bit of treble to your recording. So it's, in my opinion, I know there are different schools of thought, but mine is you shouldn't be adding processing for the sake of adding processing. It should all be to solve a specific issue, and it should all be done for the sake of making the listening experience for your audience better. We shouldn't be doing anything for the sake of doing it. It's all about making the best show that we can. So I don't know how else, what other processing we could talk about. There's de-essers. Those are pretty simple. There's a lot of just one dial de-essers, and what that will do is reduce the sound, which can be very fatiguing to listen to, can make your ears really tired, and that will allow you to tame those a little bit without ruining the top end of your audio. So de-essers are another really good one and really essential one.
Okay. Now, do you use like a certain program to edit your audio?
Yeah, so I have the most convoluted editing process for my podcast because I will record in something called Audio Hijack. And the reason I do that is I was running into buffer size issues in Logic Pro, and the issue that causes is random clicks and pops in the recording, and I was never able to resolve that, so I record in a standalone piece of software called Audio Hijack. Then I dump it into Logic Pro, where I have a bunch of preset processing plugins in there, like compressor, de-esser. Occasionally, I will have a de-plosive in there. A plosive is when you put a puff of air right into the microphone's capsule and it pops and distorts. So sometimes I'll have that in there. And I don't do much EQing. The only thing I do is a high-pass filter, which rolls off frequencies below around 60 hertz. There's nothing really useful down there for spoken word. Once I have the podcast audio sounding how I want it, I export that as a WAV file, dump it into Final Cut Pro with the video from my DSLRs for the podcast, then chop it up, edit it, do all that, export an M4A for the podcast release, and then export the MP4 for YouTube. So it's a very convoluted, dumb way. I don't know any other way to do it, though. So that's my processing signal flow. Record one, process another, edit in a third.
Okay, so like I said, I have never like intentionally edit audio like ever, but you Logic Pro is a program that you can use to edit audio, correct?
Yeah. So if you just wanted to edit the audio from this podcast, you would be able to download the video from YouTube,
right?
And then open up Logic, drag the video file into Logic. It would say, do you want to open the video? If you're not editing the video, you could just say, no, don't edit it, or don't open it. And then it just dumps in and converts the audio and allows you to edit it right there.
Okay. So like I said, I am a noob. So the way I edit the podcast is I throw the entire video, audio, all of it into Final Cut Pro, and I edit out all the little crap I want to edit out. Then I export it in audio, and I just upload that audio to what's that program I use? Anchor, the podcast hosting, and that's how I do it. Is there like any difference in like how the audio is outputted, like just exporting it through Final Cut Pro as opposed to just putting it in Logic Pro and exporting it through Logic Pro, or does it even matter? Or?
If you're not doing any kind of processing in Logic, I don't think it would cause any kind of difference. I haven't looked into what kind of audio codec Final Cut versus Logic Pro has, but I imagine since they're both by Apple, they would export using the same audio encoder. So I
Okay.
don't think there would be any difference unless you're dumping it into Logic to add compression, denoise, whatever it may be. Then there would be a difference, but
Now there are actually some audio editing tools in Final Cut Pro, but I'm guessing they don't compare it to what you can do in Logic Pro, right?
well, in Final Cut, I think a lot of them are Apple's stock plugins. So
Right.
you might be able to use those because a lot of those are used in Logic Pro. So you would be getting a lot of the same plugins and you'd be able to use those. And if you do download any plugins, any VST plugins, you would be able to use those in Final Cut. I hate processing audio in Final Cut though. It is a nightmare because every single time you chop the video and the audio, that creates a second instance of that plugin. So if you do 50 edits, you might end up with 50 iterations of one plugin. But now that I'm thinking about it, if you're doing a multi-track, a multi-cam video, you might be able to put the processing on that. I may have just put my foot in my mouth. Well, there may be a workaround for it, but I'm still not a big fan of editing audio in Final Cut. Still not the most enjoyable.
Okay. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do audio editing in Logic Pro since I have it. I have Logic Pro, I just never used it, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to use that at some point.
Yeah, just hit me up. I'll do a Skype call with you, or if you got a Discord, I'll jump in a Discord video call and walk you through any questions you got.
No. Twitter is my Discord. Twitter.
Okay.
Is my Discord.
Okay.
All right, so I think we got a lot of participation in the chat tonight. So I am done with my questioning, but if you guys have any questions for Mr. Bandru here, please throw them in the chat and we will answer them, or he will answer them because I can't answer them. He will answer them. Oh, we got Renee out there. Hey, Renee, how you doing? He said Final Cut Pro is glitchy. Like I don't know how to pronounce that. Okay, Zotope, I guess. Okay.
Oh yeah, Isotope RX7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a pricey plugin suite there, Renee.
Ooh.
I think RX7. I think that goes for about $1,300. But that thing, they sprinkle unicorn poop dust on it. It is one of the most magical things that has ever existed. That's one of the rare cases where if you have a tiny bit of clipping in your audio, it'll fix it. If you have an air conditioner in the background, it can fix it. RX7 is magic. I don't know what they do.
Did you just say unicorn poop mud? Did I hear that right?
Something
Unicorn
like
poop mud.
Something like that. Yeah. It will save anything. Exactly.
Wow. Unicorn poop mud. I have to use that sometime.
Yeah, they have a de-reverb plugin as well in there. So if you're in a very reverberant room and you don't have the sound treatment, you're able to knock that down a little bit, which is incredible. It's incredible.
All right. The Macronia wants to know, if you're just starting on YouTube and using your phone camera, what kind of mic would you recommend for that?
Ooh, iOS cameras. Does Jeff still use his phone to stream from? Because if so, then he would be using his Q2U. And if the Q2U is compatible with your phone, that would be he's using a lav mic. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I have not dove too deep into the iOS microphone market. The only route that I would have any kind of actual answer for would be buying an iOS audio interface and then an XLR microphone and all of that, and it'll get really, really pricey. So I would rely on El Jefe for an answer there, because El Jefe is the phone master.
So, fun fact, last week on my live stream, I had the good folk from DD Microphone on here. We were talking audio, and I was asking them about a mistake that they see new creators making, and Andrew from DD said that the mistake that new creators make that he sees the most is that they use the onboard mic for the cameras or iPads or phones. So how do you feel, Bandru, about people using the onboard mic and not buying an external mic?
It bothers me. If you can't afford one, don't let it stop you. Use what you got, make your content, improve, upgrade when you have the money. If you do have the money, please buy an external microphone. Please. I was another instance where maybe I should have called the microphone police was all of the television hosts who were using their phone's internal microphone in their bathroom while it was 6 feet away from them. It was one of the most abysmal sounding things ever. For the first 3 weeks of them recording at home, it was so bad. And that it made no sense to me, because you would think these television folks have entire teams around them. They have dedicated audio teams. Did nobody from that team say, hey, you're going to be streaming from home. Here's a microphone. Use this. Apparently not.
No,
apparently
not. No, not really. Oh, man. All right. Any other question from my man Podcastage before we get out of here? Let me know, y'all. Let me know. Let me know. Let's see. Do I have any more questions? I'm good.
I did see a question from multiple people asking about my love for the free stickers that come with microphones. I hate them. I hate them with all of my being. And here is another exclusive for this show, because I don't think I've ever really publicly explained why. It's because I find it somewhat offensive where you spend $400 for the SM7B, and then in the box they include a sticker with their brand name saying, now that you gave us $400, why don't you advertise for us for free? That bothers me. I'm not your advertiser. Don't ask me to do that. Just give me the damn thing that I paid for and don't expect anything else out of me. I'm a curmudgeon. I admit that wholeheartedly.
You do realize that stickers come with more than just microphones, right? I think practically every Apple product comes with a sticker.
Yeah, I hate those too. I know people love their Apple stickers. I don't get it.
Somebody call the sticker police. Actually, we already got the sticker police online here. Not only is he the audio police, he's also the sticker police. Don't do it, y'all. Don't do it. Don't give him those stickers.
Yeah, I had to evacuate my studio for 2 hours because, as X Hades Stamp says, I lit a sticker on fire for one of my videos, and then the toxic fumes filled the room, and it stunk like sticker for 2 hours. I had to run... I had to run an air purifier for 2 hours. It was terrible.
Wow, you almost burned your studio down. What?
It was a stupid idea, but the video was fun.
Oh, I don't even have a comment for that. I got nothing right now. Oh Lord. So Marissa wants to know, if I had a ATR 2100X USB mic and I wanted it to sound good on a live stream, how can I add compression and EQ without a dedicated rack?
Oh, okay. So with that, if you're on Windows, you could use something called Voicemeeter Banana. That is, I believe, a free plugin that allows you to select your microphone input. It has compression, it has EQ, it has all of that. I don't think there's a parallel on Mac that is free, but with a program like, I'm trying to remember which one it is, on Loopback or maybe Audio Hijack. It could get a little bit convoluted, but you could add live processing using Audio Hijack or any DAW, actually. If you go ahead and open your DAW, have your microphone input, add all the processing you want, yes, there will be a delay, but then if you have loopback audio allows you to capture any sound source on your computer. You'll put the output from your DAW to this new loopback session, and then in the live stream, capture that new aggregate device that you created using loopback. Kind of convoluted, but that might actually work. And assuming that you don't have video, because you would run into latency issues there. But if you do have just audio, that would work, and half a second of latency wouldn't really screw anything up too badly. That's the route I would go.
Okay. All right. And on that note, I think we're going to conclude this evening's festivities. Thank you to my man Podcastage, Bandru, for joining the podcast tonight. Thank you, sir.
thank you so much for having me. I have been watching all of these and just waiting to be on. I love your show so much. And you are just one of the most enjoyable people. And as I've told you on Twitter many times, you must be one of the most hardworking people on YouTube. And I love what you're doing. So keep doing it. You're gonna blow up one of these days, man. You're gonna blow up. And MKBHD, better watch your back. He's coming for you.
I don't know about all that, but I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you.
Easy. It is podcastage.com. Podcastage.com. All the reviews, all the videos, links to everything.
I got to start doing that. People are like, where can we find you, Viper? Viper.com. It's all there.
Exactly, yeah.
All there.
It's super. If you have one more minute, I'll tell you exactly why I do it.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Because as you can tell, I don't like promoting things. I don't like promoting other people's companies. I don't want to promote Twitter. They don't need any additional promotion. I don't want to promote YouTube. They don't need any additional promotion. So I will just promote my website. And then if any of these services go down, people still know where to find my stuff.
Boom.
And I'm just promoting my URL, not YouTube, not Twitter, not Facebook.
There you go. For those of y'all watching live tonight, thank you for watching live and hanging out with me and Podcastage. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you super chatted, became a channel, if you super chatted or became a channel member or brought me a coffee, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Like I tell you guys, I just love that you hang out with me each and every week for the podcast. Your donations and all of that stuff, none of it's required, but I appreciate you guys hanging out. No doubt. For those of y'all listening on audio only, thank you for listening to another edition of VypDrive this week with my man Podcastage. Appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week to the podcast. If you want to follow Podcastage, his link will be in the show notes, so definitely go down there and check him out. He is definitely legit, especially if you need mic information. He is the go-to guy, so definitely go check him out. If you want to support the podcast monetarily, there will be information in the show notes. It's not required, but anything that you are willing to donate is greatly appreciated, and those links are in the show notes. So thank you for checking those out. Also, if you happen to be listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a rating or review as to help more people discover VypDrive. Trying to get more people to come hang out and listen to these podcasts each and every week. So thank you. For those of y'all watching live here and you're new to this channel, I do these podcasts and I interview creators around the YouTube space, like my man Podcastage. I've had people like MKBHD on here. I've had Brian Tong on here. I've had Renee Ritchie, who happens to be in the chat on here tonight. I've had him on the podcast. So if you are interested in interviews like this one, hit that subscribe button for more because I got more coming. But that will be it for VypDrive episode 91. I will see you guys next week. But until the next time, people, this your boy Viper, the man about tech. You know where to find me. So come back for more.